Yep, that's a pretty sad sight right there. Alright guys, welcome back to Epic Cars, and as you can see, my tow truck is in really bad shape, and I've been wanting to do a follow-up video for quite some time on I started a tow truck company, bought a new tow truck, and it's been, gosh, it's probably been a year or so since I've done that update. And a lot has happened, and instead of kind of living a lifelong dream of being a tow truck driver, which I did become and fully licensed and all that good stuff, kind of turned into a little bit of a nightmare. Definitely have lost money, definitely had a lot of downtime dealing with regulations and licensing and just all the things that kind of come about when you're doing a tow truck company. So I'm going to kind of give you the pros and cons, that I've dealt with, the ups and downs that I've dealt with. If you're considering starting a towing company, I've been away from videos for quite a long time now, and I've got a couple of reasons. I started a podcast, and so I've been doing podcasting since about October, and then this one's the big one. I wrote a book, and so over the last 6 months, I've been raring down and getting going and trying to get this thing done because I've never done this before, and so learning through the process of building a book series, because this is book 1 in a series of probably 4, and then going about getting it edited and designed and finally published. It came out 2 weeks ago, and it's been really getting a lot of accolades and good reviews. So if you're into historical fiction, this is about the Civil War. Starts off, the kid's about 12 years old, kind of goes up to about 17. So it's a cool historical fiction. It's out on Amazon right now. So that's been taking up a lot of my time. But let's get back to the car stuff. So, towing company. Would I recommend doing it? Yeah, but you just need to have your expectations set correctly. A lot of regulation, a lot of licensing, a lot of hoops you got to jump through, and probably the thing that I underestimated, and if hindsight being 2020, if I'd have gone back and maybe bought a newer truck, with less mechanical issues. My truck's a 1998 International with a 7.3 diesel. I love it, by the way. It's a great truck, but I've had consistent issues with it. Nothing really with the engine or transmission, but it's mainly been like hydraulic hoses, hydraulic rams, and then what you saw just a second ago, major carnage going on. This happened about 3 months ago, and I just have not had time to get to it. But essentially, you can kind of see, hopefully, we got some major carnage going on there. The main ram, where this kind of cross member attaches to, broke in half, and so my bed has been completely out of service. My tow truck has been out of service, and it has been one thing after the other. So I've got a welder coming today to actually really fix this. I've been working with them for a few weeks now, getting the right metal, getting all that good stuff to where that all can go back together. And it cracked even one of my top of my rams there. So sheared off a line for my winch. I mean, it was just catastrophe. But we're gonna get her back together hopefully today and get my tow truck back working. That entire middle section, that the hydraulic ram that moves the bed fore and aft and moves the bed up and down, the hydraulic arms that hook to that, the cylinders, basically broke. And that was something that the gentleman told me when I first went to go buy it. He had said that they had some problems with that, and you could see that there were some repair welds and so forth. But again, this kind of comes back to equipment. So number one, if you're wanting to start a towing company, I would definitely recommend checking out your equipment more thoroughly, trying to do your best. I mean, obviously, I got started with a really low amount, got a really good deal on it as far as cash, into the business. Something that had I spent $10,000, $15,000 more, I might have gotten a better truck. Now, that's not obviously true from a standpoint of I could have had just as many problems with any other truck. But it is something to consider if you're wanting to get into it. Second thing is regulation. I have had so much problems with the Department of Transportation here in Oklahoma. It has been one thing after the other. I don't know, whoever's running that place, in my opinion, should be fired, because the feedback and the processing and the communication and just the time frames that they, I'll send them stuff and then it takes them literally like a month to get back to me. And in a lot of cases, it's me getting back to them multiple times. Hey, have you gotten my email? Hey, did you get my message? Hey, did you get the stuff that I sent in the mail to you? I'm having to follow up on a multiple times basis in order to get any kind of feedback whatsoever. They will not answer the phone. The answer machine doesn't even exist. I mean, you sit there and it says leave a message and then it just hangs up on you. You try to go down to talk to them in person, and because they're part of the Department of Transportation and Department of Public Safety kind of umbrella, you can't even get in to talk to anybody. You have to go through this basically gatekeeper at the front. They won't let you go back to the office. They have to come out to you. I mean, it's the most, you talk about a government issue, it's definitely a government issue. And you can tell I'm kind of fired up about this because, time after time after time after time, I did everything I was supposed to do and turned it in on time. And then they would give me instructions on what to do next. And lo and behold, those instructions were wrong. So they weren't even the correct information. Everything from the people at the towing licensing division through the inspectors that come out and inspect your truck. I mean, they would tell me what to do next. And I'm like, okay, I'll do what you told me to do exactly what they told me to do. And then I'm still sitting here a month and a half later going, well, am I going to get my license? I mean, what's next? And then I'd follow up like, hey, just making sure you got my information, like I said. And then they're like, oh, well, that's not the procedure you're supposed to follow. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm following exactly what you told me or your agent told me to do, and you're telling me it's not right? So that has been so frustrating dealing with that situation. I mean, going through the DOT inspection, getting my license, that probably shaved off 6 months of good, strong working time that I could have been out there earning money, but I couldn't because I hadn't got my license yet. And of course, money in general. I mean, I've poured probably, 20, 25 grand into this business so far, doing advertising and, finally getting to that point where I felt like I was getting calls on a consistent basis. And then my truck would break down or I'd have a licensing issue or, something would come up. And it was just kind of like, what the heck? And so if you're gonna do it, by all means, I'm all for it. I've lived a dream, I've gone and done it. I've really enjoyed my time to a certain degree, other than the licensing issues. Really having a lot of fun. And when I'd go out on calls, the people were really nice. I've helped out a lot of people that really needed somebody to help them in that certain situation. And it felt really good. I had a lot of pride in not only helping them, kind of coming to their rescue, but just being honest and fair with them even after the process. And so I've got a lot of good reviews and a lot of good customer feedback. I mean, I've towed everything from trucks to Porsches to horse trailers to, you name it. I've gone out and done a lot of stuff. So it's been really fun. That all being said, because my tow truck situation is broken, and hopefully I'm fixing it today with the help of a good welder. But lastly, and this is the thing that just messed me up, more than anything, and why I'm making this video, is going back to the regulatory situation. They notified me, the licensing department notified me in November and said, hey, your insurance is getting ready to expire. And I was like, yeah, I knew that. I mean, I had had it for a year. So I sent in all the information to show them, hey, I've got a policy. It's been, enacted. It meets all the qualifications. They send me an email back like 2 weeks later and say, wait, no, you can't just submit your insurance certification. You have to have the company submit it. So I called my company, I think it's Progressive, and said, hey, this is what you got to do. Gave them the email address, gave them the phone number, gave them the fax number. Again, you can't call and talk to anybody. You have to do this through email and wait for them to get back to you. It's the most frustrating thing as far as the licensing division. Progressive was great. I got a confirmation from Progressive that, hey, I sent this information. We emailed it and faxed it to these numbers that you provided, that the licensing department provided. And then I'm thinking, okay, everything's honky-dory. Go through the reapplication process in December to get my new license for 2023. This is February 2nd that I'm making this video. And so sent in my fees, sent in everything, all the stuff updated, everything's good. Well, I get a letter like 2 days before Christmas that says, hey, we never received your insurance information, which I had sent in one time, mind you, and the company had sent in a second time, and I had proof that they had sent it in. Well, they said that they didn't receive it. And so I'm like, okay, and it's like 2 days before Christmas and I'm out of town on vacation. So I emailed the information again straight to the person that told me to send it to them. No response, no nothing. Guess what? I get a letter in the mail about a week after Christmas, well, actually about a week into the new year, saying that my license has been revoked. I didn't comply with the insurance requirements. They gave me warning, which I got it 2 days before Christmas, that they didn't have it. I was thinking everything was fine because they never said anything back to me on email. And rather than just calling and saying, hey, just never got that, what's going on? They just revoked my license. They just canceled it. And so I'm like, what the heck? Call down there, listen, I have proof that this is, I can show you the data, I can show you everything. Didn't want to hear it. Well, first and foremost, they didn't respond for at least a week. Didn't want to hear it. And then I get a letter, I don't know, midway through January with all my 2023 application documents and my check and everything to pay the fee. That all came back, and basically with a form letter that said, because you didn't meet the criteria of the licensure requirements for 2022, you let your insurance lapse, which I didn't, and you didn't provide an appeal process when we sent you the first letter, which I got 2 days before Christmas. My license was revoked back in December, like the second week of December. And the first notice I got of it was 2 days before Christmas that they said my license was suspended. I mean, so it's like, well, wait a minute. You never even gave me any notice until 6 days before the new year. And then sent in all this stuff again, and you still did it. Didn't tell me about an appeal process, didn't do anything. So, kind of sounds like I'm whining, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what happened. I think I did everything right. I think I did everything professionally. I think I did everything on time. I did everything above board, and they are just fighting me left and right. And so I'm like, screw it. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'll just relinquish my license. I'm not going to be a tow truck driver for the public anymore. I've got my own private shop. I can use my truck for my stuff that I do, plus pick up customers' cars to bring them back to my shop. I'm going to do that. I can do friends, things like that. I'm out of the towing business, per se. Still going to tow, but it's time to move on. Now, one of the things I'm going to do too is, because I don't really need the rollback anymore, and I've got a tilt car hauler that really does just as good. I'm going to put a winch on it, and it's a little easier because I can hook up any kind of truck to it. A little harder, to get into some certain situations like parking lots and things like that. But it's not that big of a deal. Pretty big asset sitting out there in my rollback. It needs to go to somebody else. So I'm going to get it all tuned up and fixed and running right and all that good stuff. I mean, it's running right now. I'm going to fix the bed and just make sure everything's done. I'm going to put it on the market because it's a good truck, and I've kind of done all the things now to make it a good truck, or will. The welder's going to be here in about an hour to fix the bed. But so I'm going to put it on the market and sell it. But that's what's been going on. Wrote a book, started a podcast. Tow truck's been broke down, and the Department of Transportation Public Safety Towing Division here in Oklahoma are terrible. And so I wish I could leave them a review somewhere, but I can't, or I would, because it's been an absolute nightmare. So that's my experience. Can all those things be fixed? Absolutely. I don't know what state you're in. I don't know what's going on, what experience level you have, what kind of equipment you have. Every one of those things can be remedied, and you can have a very successful towing career. Would I say go get it and do it? Yeah, I'd still say that, even though I've had all my problems. I've got other things to do, and so this was kind of a hobby thing for me. This was kind of just living out a dream. So it's time to move on. So guys, that's what's happening. My towing career's over, but I've got some other really big stuff planned. So God bless. Take care.